In Birth of a Caribbean Tax Haven, The Untold Story, I weave together fact and fiction alongside personal experiences to contrast long-term success with irrecoverable failure. Many years ago, as a young man growing up in the Cayman Islands, I would occasionally hear the name James MacDonald come up in conversations. These conversations were about the early days of economic development in Grand Cayman. I was curious because I never heard about this man in formal circles or in the classroom. No government recognition or any special accolade was ever awarded to him publicly, yet he clearly made a significant contribution to our financial development. I had to know why this man was intentionally sidelined.
Born in Calgary, Canada, in 1922, MacDonald received his early schooling in Calgary and graduated from Western Canada High School. In 1937, he joined the Calgary Highlanders and went on active service with the unit at the onset of World War II. In February 1940, he transferred to the Royal Canadian Air Force and received pilot's wings in May 1940. After 2 years as a pilot instructor, he joined a Spitfire squadron in England. In 1943, he volunteered for the Wingate Expedition, where he acted as Air Force liaison officer in charge of supply drops and casualty evacuation with a column dropped behind Japanese lines in Burma. Shortly thereafter, he was posted to the Calcutta staff of Lord Louis Mountbatten as intelligence officer, deception, with rank of squadron leader. He returned to the Spitfire squadron in England just before war in Europe ended, and was discharged from the Air Force in December 1945. Back in Canada, he entered law courses at the University of Toronto. On graduation, he was awarded the Beaver Club Trust Scholarship, the equivalent of the Rhodes Scholarship, but restricted to ex-servicemen, and entered the Law School of Trinity Hall, Cambridge. During his 2 years there, he was awarded a scholarship to attend a course in international law held at the Peace Palace in The Hague, Holland. In 1951, he served articles, was admitted to the Bar of Alberta, and practiced with a Calgary firm before establishing private practice in 1955. MacDonald was elected to the City of Calgary Council in 1955 and re-elected in 1957. He failed at his attempt in legislative politics as a progressive conservative candidate for Calgary North in the provincial election of 1958. Just after those elections, his name gained prominence as a result of his successful lawsuit against 2 members of the Alberta legislature who were found to be sitting illegally. Although he won that legal battle, he lost the political war. One of the legally deposed legislators was a very seasoned politician whose connections ran deep within the business community and with Calgary's senior citizens. MacDonald was viewed as a sore loser who used a technicality to remove 2 favorites. His political career was over and his legal career was about to come to a grinding halt. In all of his last 4 years in private practice, he had never gone more than a day without receiving a phone call from a client or potential client. Within weeks of his highly publicized lawsuit, the only calls he received were from his wife. The harsh reality began to set in that he was quickly becoming persona non grata in his hometown. Suddenly, he thought of his biggest client, Louis Chesler, whom he had assisted in setting up bridge financing arrangements for several real estate transactions in the Bahamas. He called Chesler's office, only to learn that he was in Freeport putting together a very important deal. It was the 22nd of October 1959. MacDonald acted so quickly that it almost seemed uncalculated. He called in his secretary Eileen and asked her to prepare for him a 7-day itinerary for a return trip to Freeport, Bahamas. He then called his wife.
"Hi, honey,"
he said, while trying to retain his confidence.
"Oh, hello, dear,"
she said, noticing immediately the subtle hesitancy in his voice.
"Is everything all right, dear?"
She said,
"Well, you know how business is. How are the kids?"
he said as he felt the beads of perspiration forming on his brow.
"They're just fine, dear. What's the matter?"
"I just called to let you know that I'll be leaving for Freeport in a few days. Chesler needs me urgently to help sort out a tangle of issues he's gotten himself into."
Eileen MacDonald knew that her husband wasn't being completely truthful by the telltale nervousness in his voice, but she played along because she had confidence that the man she married would work things out.
Okay. How long will you be away, dear?
I'll be gone for a week. I'll fill you in when I get home.
He said.
Okay, honey. See you later.
She said.
Bye.
Bye.
He said as he leaned forward to hang up the phone.
James MacDonald resembled a defeated prizefighter after a title fight as he put on a heavy gray full-length overcoat, a scarf his wife had knitted for him, and his top hat. As he stepped out into the bitter cold October evening, partially in a daze, he hardly noticed the gripping Calgary wind slapping his face and leaving it red. His burgundy wingtips tried to leave prints in the snow, but soft giant snowflakes filled them from the sky as he took each step. All he could think about was the years he had worked so hard to achieve his career ambitions, only to lose everything in a few short months. How could he have been so naive as to think that the masses would admire him for his legal savvy in deposing a veteran politician? He closed his eyes tightly to determine in his mind that his ambitions would never again be undermined by another man's influence. In a few short years, MacDonald would prove himself wrong again.